Right. Hello, this is Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to Bridges Live. I like to have a guest on every time I do Bridges Live, and welcome to Bridges Live. And first, I'd like to thank all my sponsors and all my contributors to Bridges Live. And without you, there's not much I can do. But thank you all for all your questions and the comments that you have throughout the show and throughout the weeks that you download the show. Remember, you can always download the show on iHeart, iTunes Radio, and Apple Podcasts. And you can always email me at drpaulwdyer@gmail.com and drpaulholisticscience.com. So I'd like to welcome my guests. Welcome to Bridges Live. You want to introduce yourself to my lovely audience.
Yes, indeed. This is Master Ashep. Yes, your Kemetic metaphysical warrior priest.
That's right. Well, Master Shep, it was such a blessing. I remember we were walking in the store, and I saw you, and I just got this great feeling over me, and I said, I gotta go talk to him. My wife was like, yep, that sounds like you. I said, hey, connections are everything, and it's the most powerful. So thank you so much for coming on Bridges Live, Master Shep.
Yes, likewise. A joy and a pleasure to always share, connect with fellow light workers.
So when, the way I teach people in metaphysics and emotional sciences and the connection to all things spiritual and the connection to all things living, you want to tell people what metaphysics is, because a lot of people still don't understand it and they get kind of lost in explanations. So you want to help them with that?
It's very quite simple. My person like to share with individuals that metaphysics, generally speaking, meta is a word that can mean above and beyond.
Right.
And so, then we're talking about the physical, is what we look at with the senses, sight, touch, smell, taste, these things. The metaphysical goes beyond what we just perceive with our senses, our sense organs. And we all experience metaphysical at some point in time throughout the day of our lives, when it comes to even just the act of feeling someone's vibe. Sometimes we can go into a room and, even the individual, we could come across someone and all of a sudden feel good around them or be like, there's something about this person that we may not be familiar with.
Right.
So these feelings that we have when we come across each other is nothing more than metaphysics. We're all metaphysical beings. That's what life is. So as a metaphysician, we just simply look at life more so from that perspective. Mm-hmm. And just remind people that life is more unseen than it is seen, and how do you deal with that? How do you use that information?
A lot of people don't really, and I think it's coming to be more in the last couple years, 5 years. I actually really say that people are starting to understand that there's more to them than what they thought it was, breaking down all these constructs that they've had. Now, when you get your clients, how are you helping clients? Let's get with that, because I know people are going to wonder, how to get in touch with Master Shep and how can he help me? And hopefully that's what we're trying to do is, one, educate people, give people good information, then hopefully they can understand something, and then hopefully they can take something in their action and put it part of their lives.
Exactly. Yes. So, what my person does with it first is find out where one is in their consciousness, their perception of reality, how they see life, what do they see, their relationship with God or a higher power, and their relationship and the universe, nature, and the relationship. So that's when we kind of start as the foundation. What's the relationship like? Because for the most part, the assistance that my person deals with is very responsible. It's accountable. Generally, there's a perspective that we create our reality, whether good, bad, or indifference. We're accountable. All of our experiences, create what we are today in a sense. So generally, if someone understands that no matter how doom and gloom the situation may be, whether it be an experience that they are experiencing or whether it be people, no matter what it may be, if they're open to looking at how they play a part in that. Again, we create our reality based upon the law of attraction. My person like to suggest that we don't get or attract what we want, but attract and get what it is, who we are, our vibration. Mm-hmm. And so we just allow people to understand the cause and effect behind all of our situations, energetically, metaphysically. What is the cause behind the effect that may not be on the surface, And then there's something, yeah.
And when we talk about vibration, and I've done shows and talked to people who've done webinars with vibration, and and that's why I like to get into the science, me personally, when I'm doing my education piece, is how every cell has a vibration code to it. And every cell vibrates, and then that triggers other cells, and that triggers the body. And so there's that kinetic chain that goes throughout your internal life that goes through the external world. So you hit that right on the mark, very much so when you talked about the vibration and the kinetic field.
Yeah.
So when people come to you and they're not doing well, how do you tap in? How do you help them, or how do they explain to you where their consciousness is at?
Well, it depends upon, the discernment. Sometimes it's more direct, sometimes it's less direct. A lot of times we can get an idea, generally speaking, just based upon the conversation. Mm-hmm. And then we just kind of just ask questions to kind of get an idea, confirm some things, and just go from there. And generally, it comes back down to the essence of, we can go serious as you created all this. Why did you do it to yourself? Why did you bring this upon yourself? You don't like it. What lesson are you choosing to look at? Or, we just start from if they may be somewhat know that intellectually, but yet not ready to grasp that fully, we may just look at how to begin to have a life where you're not bothered about what you're going through. So then we have to say, okay, let us begin a lifestyle, where you actually have quiet time every day. There's a daily exercise. How much water do you drink every day? So there's a prescription that my person do what we call daily self-care practices. You'll begin when you are, and as you simply become comfortable and doing what you do and increase some daily self-care practices, one can begin to relieve some of the dis-ease or stress that they may be experiencing, so they can begin to see a little bit differently. Because sometimes things are so much, all this philosophy is too much. So let's just start with, okay, let us release some of this stuff. Let us just get to a place where you can just, okay, all right, now we flip it, let's go from here. So depending on how we go directly or, let's calm down first over some suggestions. So that's how we generally operate.
When people hear this, sometimes if they're not connected, and now those are the people who are part of the choir, sing along, spread the wealth, spread the information, spread the understanding. But when people pop into and they get questions and they say, I just don't know what I need to know. Do you get those questions also?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it comes back down to assisting them with their experiences reflect on your experiences. Some things that may have stood out, that was different, or that may felt good, or just, and through just asking God, just asking a question and just waiting for the answer. And my person reminds everyone that we contact with that we all have the answers within. And my person's responsibility is to assist others with bringing it out.
Right.
Helping them to get the clarity from within, to communicate with the God within for their own instructions for their own life. And so it comes back down to self, regardless. We just got to pay attention to what we're doing and listen to those things that come to us. And we put those two together, just keep looking and listening to yourself, we will have some clarity and direction of our life.
It's one of the problems we know we are having with consciousness and subconsciousness, that people have stopped listening to themselves many years ago, and then now when they want to start listening to them, they don't know what the voice sounds like. So they don't know if they're listening to themselves or they're listening to someone pushing them into a corner and telling them what they need to know.
Right. Yeah. Pretty textbook. And the only way to get around that is just to do it. Just begin that process, begin just listening and watching the experiences. My person also suggests that we just sit and listen, meditate, reflect kind of thing. We get insight, for an experiment. And if we trust, when we begin to trust, the insight that comes, our experience, then we experience the experiment.
Yes.
And then we can say, how is this experience of this experiment that came from the inside on how to deal with the situation? And if we just do that, and actually practice makes perfect, we begin to make that connection and begin to hear a different voice and begin to, even if it wasn't the so-called right one, even if we go back, we still get clarity on where we kind of thought it would have been, So again, it comes back down to discipline of turning things off, shutting out the world, and just listening to inside one's own thoughts.
And that takes a practice, and I say three things, and I say it repeatedly. First, you need training.
Yeah.
You need training, and you need to develop a practice, and then when you develop a practice, you need to then take an action. Now, with those three things, training means education. It means being the student to be taught. So that's one. You got to put yourself in the ability to say, I don't know everything, and I need to learn how to live so I can then learn how to love. Because if you're always in survivor mode, you are scratching always on like a cage. You're trapped. So those are the three things I pretty much say on a constant basis.
The so-called rat race.
Yeah, as this world is so violent, and a lot of people have a lot of hostility, whether it be for an administration, and I know this is not a political question, but people are just outwardly hostile. How do you help them with that hostility that they have for unbeknownst to themselves, it's coming from inside themselves?
Right. Just ask them. Do you believe it's possible not to feel the one gone?
Right.
Because some people will say, no, because there's so much you got to feel a certain way. And my person is unable to help that person. That's a simple matter, the fact of the matter. But if someone says, yeah, but it's hard, it's hard to observe something, especially if no matter how powerful it may be, it's not directly affecting us per se, but because it's so strong, it's like, man, why do I keep letting this stuff get to me? And then with that type of mentality, attitude, that's when we begin to work.
Yeah.
That's when we begin to understand, it's about attack, it's about programming. It's about, we've been all, for the most part, so traumatized and been so programmed in the way of thinking. Even when we want to do right and want to change, without changing our energy system, the way our energy neurons fire, without changing our hard wiring for this computer system that we own, we'll only be wishing to be more relaxed and not let these things bother us. So then we say, okay, well, how does this energy system, or how does it change the energy? That we get to understand the chakras, the mind, the heart,
there it
the
goes.
vibratory frequencies. First, they have to be open to say it is possible. They understand it's possible because you have to work with the energy. And everything plays a part in that. Yes, and the food, the water, the exercise is so important. Movement. Just being able to move, to release stagnant energy so that the new way of the higher vibrating energy has a place. It has fertile soil. Back down the seas, these thoughts and where we should be, once we realize, oh man, I was hooked, bamboozled. And this is the way life is, but yet there's so much of that programming is contaminated soil, it's toxic soil. So again, exercise, movement, and breathing is a way to break up, loosen up that ground, loosen up the soil, and get rid of it and put the new soil down there, or fertilizer. My person said, we talk shit quite a bit. When one person talks shit, it causes people to think. And what we're saying is we're actually adding fertilizer to their soul so that the seeds of who they are, their aspirations, their encouragement, all these things will take root. Because most of us, we have the information. We know we should and could be doing something different.
Right.
But if we're not working with our energy to change our energy to facilitate what we want, it's still just a wish. So that's why we just remind people of how you maintain your inner chi.
And I've been studying martial arts for just such a long time, and studying in the Eastern world and living there, we understand the Western world is so encaged. And it's encaged by that programming you talk about, and they're being so bamboozled, like you just said, about what they are supposed to be and what they're supposed to think, and that they don't have any idea who they really are.
Yeah. Yeah, been there, done that. Like I said, it's like the fine print. My person, it's the fine print. Those are the contract when you incarnate. We chose to incarnate in North America. There was some fine print. There's going to be some traumatic situations, but you chose to come here so that once you come through, you can be a beacon of light to the world.
Yeah.
In a sense. That's my person gathered. So there's some fine print. There's going to be some stuff coming with America. How do we deal with it? How do we deal with it?
So how can people get a hold of you when they need your advice? And is it a website? Can they call you? What are those links? And I'm going to put it on the podcast itself. But if people are listening to it, what is and is there anything specific you like certain people to call you for?
Well, yes. The specific thing people can call for is they ready to make some lifestyle changes, or they made some changes, and either they come into a spot where they need a little assistance. You know, they understand some things, they just need a little assistance with breakthrough, with a breakthrough, maybe some clarity, the breakthrough kind of thing. You know, that's what we're here for, to assist those who realize it's up to me. If it is to be, it's up to me. And what could I do? What could I do to get this peace in my life just so I can be who I came to be, period. And there's a website, Soul Healing, that's SOL healing.org. It's probably everything is on there, from the Facebook, Instagram, phone number, everything.
Sure.
Soulhealing.org. And just as a little extra for those who wish to send a direct text, the direct cell phone number is area code 281-905-8556. 281-905-8556.
You said in the beginning, you know, light workers, where I think, and I like to, the reason why I do Bridges Live is to get you from here to there with information, understanding, and action. But I truly believe there's some beautiful light workers like yourself out here in this world, and we are doing the heavy lifting. But once everyone wakes up, we can share in that powerful code.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Master Tep, and I really appreciate that. And then we'll talk more again later. And I'm going to release people from Bridges Live. Remember, you can always click on the links on the bottom of the page or the podcast to get a hold of Master Ashep and to find out what we're talking about with vibration and metaphysics. Understanding that there's a code that you can break through. Stop all that programming that you have been constructed to build that has nothing to do with you. So learn, understand, and then live. That's my motto. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Bridges Live. This is Dr. Paul, and we'll be talking to you later. God bless.